FeastSTL.com is the website. Feast Magazine is the magazine. Feast TV Show is the TV show. And the publisher who sits atop of Feastcom is Kat Neville. Good morning, Kat Neville.
Good morning, McGraw.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. All right, let's get right to it. A couple of restaurants for us.
Okay, so I have two new spots that I think are just really casual and welcome additions to the scene. The first one that I'm going to talk about is a Tex-Mex spot that was first reported for us by our intrepid digital editor, Sarah Fensky, and it is family-friendly, old-school Tex-Mex in the Central West End. The location is 313 North Euclid Avenue, and it's El Burro Loco. Yes, and so this is that old pasta house spot.
Oh, yeah.
So it's big, and it seats like 100 people, and they have done up the interior in just really fun, like fun decorations, big bar. They serve jumbo margaritas, of course.
Right.
And, you know, they have like the regular kind of like standard margaritas, but they also do things, a margarita with mezcal, which is that smoky tequila. It's really lovely. You're seeing that popping up all over the place. And then other flavors like cucumber and things like that. So it's not just your standard margaritas. And then they have chips and salsa arrive at your table, and two different salsas, a salsa verde, which obviously means green, and then a smoky red salsa. And then you also have, you know, just like fajitas and enchiladas and ceviche and cheese dip with ground beef on top. I mean, it's not authentic Mexican food. It is down-home Tex-Mex.
It's down-home American.
It is.
It's American Mexican.
Yeah, and you know, and we have, and what's interesting is that you see a lot of these more authentic, quote unquote, Mexican places popping up, which are very welcome, and they are fantastic. And Publico is going to be opening up in the Loop in a couple of weeks, so we'll be talking about that, and that's high-end Mexican food. But this is something where if you've got a family and your kids want tacos and they want cheese enchilada and you want a big margarita and you just want to relax, this is a great place for that.
I was in Austin this past weekend, and it seems like every corner there's a taco breakfast burrito place. I mean, that seems to be is everywhere, and there were lines out the door for all this stuff.
I mean, tacos are delicious. No matter what you do, pretty much to a taco. I mean, a taco it's kind of like pizza, or pasta, or something like that. It's a blank canvas for whatever you want to stuff into it.
Yeah.
And so the food here is good quality, tender shrimp. The meats are marinated really, really well, and it's approachable, and it's something, like I said, that is very family friendly. So if you're looking for this Tex-Mex style, which is not the kind of Mexican restaurant that you see opening up a lot these days, this is definitely a great new spot to try.
Not burrito. El Burro Loco.
Yes, burro like
Loco.
a donkey,
El
like
Burro
the crazy
Loco.
donkey.
All right, El Burro Loco.
Yes.
All right, 1313 North Euclid, the old pasta house place.
It's 313.
313, right across from Sub-Zero right there.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. All right, what's number two?
All right, number two is the Living Room in Maplewood. And I mentioned this briefly when I talked about Bolliard's Meat and Provisions because it's right next door. And it is a wonderful artisan coffee house. And I know that, you know, we've seen an explosion in artisan coffee. And they are working specifically with Art House Coffees, which has been on the scene for about the past 5 years or so, selling their coffees at farmers markets and things like that. And they tend to roast their coffees light, and they do seasonal rotation of where they're sourcing their beans. Really, really nice. The coffee is executed in a number of different ways. You can have, you know, Chemex, and, you know, you have Kyoto style towers, V60s, all these different ways to pull flavor out of coffee, depending on what it is that you're looking for. And they don't do things with a lot of heavy syrups. You can have milk and sugar on request if that is something that you would like. They do, however, have because Cacao is right around the corner on Manchester. And by the way, Living Room is at 2808 Sutton Avenue. I forgot to mention that.
Yes.
And so they do have a chocolate syrup that you can get from cacao, and they have other great things on the menu besides coffee, because it is also a bakery. And they make scones, and they have galettes. And when I was there, they had a mushroom and onion galette that was delicious. The crust was perfect, absolutely perfect. They have like a cinnamon date rolls, and it changes up from day to day. But if you're looking, and this is a very small spot, by the way, and you can also buy some really attractive and lovely kind of coffee and tea accessories. So they have handmade mugs, and you can buy loose tea. You can also buy Art House coffee when you're there. But they also are doing, I mentioned that they're next door to Balliard's Meat and Provisions. They have what they're calling a bento box. Obviously, bento box is a Japanese this is not Japanese food.
Obviously, bento box. I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yes, I did.
Oh, all right.
Of course, Kelly knew.
Okay. She's much more cultured than I am.
So what they do is in their bento box, when I was there, you get this wonderful, essentially kind of a small loaf of bread that's been sliced. It's in-house baked, but then they served it with andouille that was made by Balliard's, and the sausage was delicious. It was tender, and it was spicy, and it was served cold, so you can take this thing to go. It had grapes, and there was some really fantastic like white cheddar cheese. And then
it's the equivalent
spiced...
for McGraw to understand it. It's the equivalent to those snack little boxes for kids.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly right. But this is
like Lunchables.
High quality, yeah, really high quality.
Yeah, Lunchables.
Exactly, but really, really lovely.
But
and
like but food in the
yes, actual food, nothing processed.
Yeah, okay.
And it was rounded out with these fantastic spiced nuts, and I just inhaled the whole thing. And I drove by after I did a shoot, which I'll talk about later, for February for Feast TV. I swung by and I grabbed it, and I went back to my office, and it was perfect to have just like while I was sitting at my computer trying to catch up with my work. And the atmosphere is warm. It's small. Everything is super high quality, and it's a wonderful spot.
The Living Room, 2808 Sutton Boulevard in Maplewood. You know, you mentioned the crust and the bread they make.
Yeah.
Jacques Papin,
yes,
my favorite chef of all time, was asked, "What's your favorite meal?" And he said, "Nothing beats French bread and butter and wine."
I would have to agree with that. I mean, and I would actually throw
Good
in
bread.
some really good cheese.
Okay.
What I would say, because I love the way that cheese and wine kind of play together, but if you have a really great, like melty, like a bloomy rind cheese that's at perfect room temperature, and then a really great, you smear it on some bread and wine. Yeah, definitely.
Right? Of all, I mean, there's great food out there, but here's a great French chef. When I ask your favorite meal, he says French bread and butter.
Well, that's because simplicity.
French bread and butter.
Exactly. But it's because of simplicity. And when you have really well-made food, it doesn't need to be complicated. And that's what a place like the Living Room really demonstrates, because it's coffee, it's great bread, it's very simple food, and it's prepared with care by people that are really dedicated to quality. And it's a wonderful addition to Maplewood for sure.
All right, we'll get to Feast Magazine in a second, but first let me remind everybody this segment is sponsored by Jimmy's on the Park, 706 Demont Avenue, Clayton. Call them at 725-8585. Their website is always open, jimmyscafe.com, for menu and directions. January 19th, this week is Restaurant Week. Jimmy is featuring a 3-course menu all week long for just $25. Their 20th anniversary. Jimmy's on the Park, 706 Demont Avenue in Clayton. What's going on with all of your outlets?
My goodness, so much is going on. So this weekend is the Food and Wine Experience, benefiting the Rep. Get your tickets now. It's the best wine event of the year. And on Monday, we have our dinner at the Libertine with Josh Galliano. There are a few tickets left, not very many. It's 5 courses. It's a replication of his dinner that he created at the James Beard House, celebrating the Mississippi River cuisine and culture. And then next Wednesday is our cooking class at Schnucks. And so it's a hands-on cooking class at the Schnucks de Pear location, $40. And you cook an entire meal with the class, and it's paired with wine. It's a ton of fun. And so I'd love for you to join us.
There you go. Kat Neville with Feast Magazine, Feast TV, which appears on Channel 9 and on their digital channels all throughout the month.
Yes.
And then Feast Magazine, which you can get on the newsstand if you want, but I prefer to get my subscription delivered right to my house in Cotterville.
Exactly.
So go to feaststl.com and
feastmagazine.com.
And feastmagazine.com.
Yes.
Right. And then You can subscribe from there, right?
Correct.
All right. Have yourself a good week.
Thank you.
Kat Neville with Feast Magazine. Now, let me tell you about St. Patrick's Center real quick, because at St.